Welcome to another inspiring tale of courage, perseverance, and the pursuit of greatness. In today's story, we'll follow the journey of a young squire named Edmund, who rises from humble beginnings to become a knight of great renown. Along the way, we'll explore the timeless virtues of honor, discipline, and resilience, the true measures of greatness. This is not a story about titles or fame, but about the strength of will, the quiet determination to push through adversity, and the unyielding pursuit of excellence. Edmund's path to knighthood shows us that greatness is not about where you come from, but where you choose to go and the choices you make along the way. So, prepare yourself for a journey that will inspire you to find your own strength, live with purpose, and rise above the challenges you face. Now, let's begin Edmund's story, the Knight's Oath. In a small kingdom nestled between rugged mountains and dense forests, there was a young squire named Edmund. Born to a humble blacksmith, Edmund had always been captivated by the tales of knights and their noble deeds. He spent his childhood hearing stories of brave warriors who defended the weak, fought against tyranny, and upheld honor above all else. But as much as he dreamed of becoming a knight, he knew the road would not be easy. For knights were born from noble blood, not from the hands of common men. Edmund worked hard in his father's forge, hammering out horseshoes and weapons, learning the craft of the blacksmith. But his heart was always drawn to the knights who rode past his village, their armor shining in the sunlight, their swords at their sides. They were the epitome of everything Edmund longed to be: strong, honorable, and respected. One day, when Edmund was 16, the local lord, Sir Reginald, came to the village seeking a new squire to serve in his household. Sir Reginald was a legendary knight, known far and wide for his courage in battle and his wisdom in matters of the kingdom. When Sir Reginald passed by Edmund's father's forge, he saw the young squire working tirelessly, his arms strong and his gaze focused. "You," Sir Reginald said, pointing at Edmund, "you have the fire of a warrior in your eyes. Will you serve as my squire and prove your worth in the service of the kingdom?" Edmund's heart raced with excitement. This was his chance, the moment he had long dreamed of. "Yes, my lord," he said with determination. "I will serve you with all that I am." Under Sir Reginald's tutelage, Edmund learned the ways of the knight. He trained in the art of swordsmanship, learned the tactics of battle, and practiced the values that all knights held dear: courage, loyalty, and honor. Yet, for all the lessons in combat and chivalry, Edmund struggled with something deeper. He was not of noble blood, and despite his hard work, he often doubted his own worth. The other squires and knights looked down on him, reminding him that his place was not among them, that he was simply a common boy who had been given a chance because of chance, not merit. But Edmund was determined. He did not seek glory or fame. He sought something more, a quiet, unyielding resolve to prove that greatness was not born of bloodlines, but forged through persistence, integrity, and honor. Every day, he rose before dawn to train, pushing himself harder than the others. When the knights practiced with their swords, Edmund would not stop until his arms were sore and his hands bled. When the horses were to be groomed, he worked with care, showing respect to the creatures that would carry him into battle. He did not seek approval, only self-improvement. The true test of his resolve came during the siege of Elderswood. The kingdom had been threatened by an invading army, and Sir Reginald's lord had called upon him to defend the kingdom's borders. The battle was fierce, and the enemy outnumbered the kingdom's forces, but Sir Reginald led his men with unmatched skill. Edmund fought valiantly by his side, though he was still a mere squire. It was during this siege that he would face his greatest challenge. In the heat of battle, Sir Reginald was struck down by a fierce blow, and his life hung in the balance. The knights were rallying, but their leader was gravely wounded. Edmund, seeing his master fall, was faced with a choice: he could flee, like many of the soldiers did, or he could rise to the occasion. He knelt beside Sir Reginald, gripping the knight's broken sword. "My lord," Edmund said, his voice shaking, "I will not leave you." With a surge of adrenaline, he took the sword and led a countercharge against the invaders, rallying the men with a roar of defiance. His sword was not as polished, his technique not as refined, but his heart burned with a desire to protect, to prove that the strength of a knight was not only in his blood, but in his will to fight for what was right. When the battle was over, the enemy was driven from the gates, and Sir Reginald's forces emerged victorious. Though many had fallen, Edmund had earned the respect of the men who had once doubted him. When Sir Reginald, recovering from his wounds, saw Edmund's bravery on the field, he knew that the young squire had proven his worth. "You have shown more courage and honor than many knights of noble birth," Sir Reginald said, his voice weak but proud. "I hereby dub you Edmund of Elderswood, a knight of this realm." Edmund's heart swelled with pride, but he did not feel the rush of glory. He simply knelt, accepting the honor with humility. He knew that the path to greatness was not paved with titles and accolades, but with the quiet decisions made in the face of adversity, the resolve to do what was right, even when no one was watching. Years passed, and Edmund became known as one of the kingdom's greatest knights, but not because of his victories in battle or his shining armor. He became known because of his integrity, his unwavering dedication to the ideals of honor, and his refusal to allow his humble origins to define him. He was not a knight because of his blood, but because he had chosen to live a life worthy of the title. And so, Edmund's story became legend, not as a tale of glory and fame, but as a reminder that true greatness is earned in the quiet moments of decision, in the daily commitment to rise above one's doubts, and in the pursuit of honor above all else. For Edmund had learned the greatest truth of all, that the mark of a true knight is not in his sword or his armor, but in the strength of his heart and the purity of his resolve. Edmund's journey, from a humble squire to a knight of renown, is a timeless tale of perseverance, self-belief, and unwavering integrity. It teaches us that greatness does not come from birthright or external accolades, but from the quiet, consistent choices we make each day. His story reminds us that true strength is not in the title we hold or the recognition we receive, but in our commitment to honor, duty, and the courage to rise above our doubts and fears. In the face of adversity, Edmund chose to embody the virtues of a knight: courage, loyalty, and selflessness. His actions spoke louder than any words or proclamations could. He did not wait for the world to offer him greatness. He chose to forge it through his actions and his resolve. And through this, he became a true knight, not because of his noble birth, but because he embodied the values that defined one. The lesson of Edmund's journey is clear. Greatness is not about where you start, but where you choose to go. It is not determined by external circumstances or the recognition of others. It is forged in the quiet moments, in the way you rise to meet your challenges, and in the integrity with which you live your life. Like Edmund, we all have the power to choose the path of honor, discipline, and resilience, no matter what our beginnings may be. As we look at our own lives, we can ask ourselves, are we willing to stand firm in our values when it's difficult? Are we willing to continue, even when others doubt us or the road seems too hard? The pursuit of greatness is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. It is in each decision, each action, each day that we can choose to be better, to be stronger, and to live with honor. So, as Edmund proved through his trials, we too can rise above our circumstances and carve out our own legacy. Greatness is not given, it is earned. And just like the knight who walked the path with humility and resolve, we too can walk our own journey with the courage to pursue excellence, no matter what challenges lie ahead. For more stories about greatness, perseverance, and the pursuit of excellence, subscribe to the channel. Each story is a reminder that we all have the potential to create a legacy worth remembering, one decision, one challenge, and one act of courage at a time. Thank you for watching.